Yay!
Oh, hi. I miss you so much. I know, I'm like,
You're a rock star, I tell you.
you. I learned from you. I just
When
keep
you
it
were,
in the back of my pocket, whip it out whenever I need to.
I,
Totally.
I have gone to the bathroom with a child in the bathroom more than I have not as a mother.
Right? Traveling, as you know, you have to stop
Yeah.
at gas stations and all that stuff. I mean, this is crazy, but I've literally, because where we were was so disgusting, I've changed somebody's diaper, holding them, like full on trying to.
It's about showing your kid how to get to the Lord. I used to think it's like, oh my goodness, well, I blew it. But now I'm like, he's going to counseling anyway. I'm sure. And he's going to talk about me bad. And we'll see what he says.
Hey.
Yay!
Oh, hi. I miss you so much. I know, I'm like,
Oh my word.
Hold on, let me put it so I can always see you. I don't need to see me. I just want to see you.
I know, same. I'm like, I want to see you, my friend.
Oh my gosh, you look so beautiful.
Thank you,
How
you
are you
too.
doing? Thank you. I like those earrings. Honey,
They're
she's a
fun,
rock
aren't
star.
they?
You're a rock star, I tell you.
You. I learned from you.
No, no, you didn't. I learned from you. Long before I was trying to be. I was just in class somewhere.
I just
When
keep
you
it
were
in the back of my pocket, whip it out whenever I need to.
and give it a good wink, like, I still got it. I love it. Oh my gosh. I was thinking about the other day, I was like thinking about how you just always beat us at phase 10. And you, like, if anybody's ever played phase 10, it's about rounds. And you like would beat us literally 4 rounds before you would even tell us that you beat us. And that's what's so sweet. You're so sweet and so gracious. And then you lay down your cards like, sorry guys. That's how you lay out your rock star, like, I just had this in my pocket.
Sneaky.
No, it's not sneaky. It's gracious because you like. I just want people to be able to play as long as possible. I don't want to upstage anyone, but when it's time to win, I am going to do that.
The game has to end now. Sorry, guys.
Well, no, it's probably because Jeremy was thinking he was gonna win, and you were just like, hey, buddy,
it. Being
you're
all
not
loud
gonna.
now. I've got this. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to say anything.
Oh my goodness. What are y'all doing? Are y'all just, I feel like you're living your best life right now. Like if anybody was prepared for COVID-19, I feel like you were. You know what I'm saying? Like, you kind of feel that way?
Yeah, it's weird because it's like we've had so many conversations with people and I know, and I get it because because so much of life was literally thrown up in the air and nobody understood what to do with the pieces that fell back down again. It's like, what do we do with this,
Yeah.
And then, but when people were asking us, I thought, well, we already homeschool.
Yeah.
We already know what it's like to be away from our community because for tour, we would go on the road for months on end and be pulled out of our community. And so in those moments, you already are learning how to do church and life by yourself because we don't go to church when we're on the road.
Right.
You're not walking into a church building. So there's like some similarities of some of that stuff that I feel like we were so used to. Yeah. But then it's just, but it has this weird feeling to it the whole time.
It does. What is that? Is it that we actually can't do anything even if we wanted to? Like, what is that feeling,
I think it's some of that. It's like right now, even with my family in South Africa, all the airports are shut down except for 2 South Africans that are stuck in other countries, which even though I am South African, but it doesn't apply to me anymore, unfortunately. But I think the fact that I can't get to them makes me want to get to them all the more. And so there's these sort of comforts, I think, of life that we're used to. And now all of a sudden that we can't have them, we're like, but I really want it right
Exactly.
now.
It's like, but I want it.
Or not,
It's really interesting. Like my big brother, John, is here And we're not, I mean, when I see him, I hug him, but we're not just the type of people that just hug forever. But now it's like, I'll never take hugging my big brother for granted again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because he's been out more than we've been out. You know me, I've got asthma, and, you know, Benj is only like 7 months old.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know, if you've never seen a babe hooked up to an IV, it's just not a pretty sight. So
it's not worth it.
So it's like, we're just going to stay in.
Totally. Well, and that's the thing too. I think the weirdness as well in the season is that it's been hard to find something that's reliable. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so like everybody's opinions are so polarizing. Messages that we have received from different healthcare things and even our government, it's like everything has been confusing. And so it's hard to know who and what you can trust. But in that, I think it's been so good, because I think for us as a family, we were really just going, okay, like let's strip it down to what the basics are. And in a sense, like let's get back to the basics, you know what I mean?
So interesting. You spoke a word at a conference at a women's retreat that we were both at several years ago, and it has stuck with me, and it was to tidy up home. And it was several months before I was even pregnant with Benjamin. And I just remember the Lord was like, that was just one of the segments of your sermon or your talk that day. And the Lord was like, this one's for you. Tidy up everything in your house, in your life, etc.
And, you know, and then we got pregnant with Benj, and, you know, something about that pregnancy tidy up. I was throwing stuff away like, we don't need that. And I really tidied up. And then I get to this season and I realize, oh, that was so necessary. Like, if we had not tidied up in many ways, would you tell me a place for everything and everything in its place is what you tell me as a friend, just like living life with you. If we had not been doing that, this would be a very hard time, because to live on top of things and on top of clutter would be difficult. Like, it was easy for us. And there were certain things that made it past me doing the pregnancy throwout that were like, oh, we got to get rid of this office chair. We have no need for it. And turns out we do.
Totally. Like, why did I throw that away?
The Lord knew. Oh, you're just, everybody calm down. Tell her to calm down.
I've totally gone extreme on the tidy thing. I'm like pitching all these things, and then years later, what did I do with that one thing? I'm like, oh my gosh, I threw it away.
And I haven't really missed anything, but the Lord had us keep only certain things. And they worked out for this season. So I'm like, Lord, you knew. But it's just, I don't know. I've been thinking in this season about moms, because this is, if you work outside of the home, especially, this is a shock, right? And people are, you know, fighting about whether or not their kids are going to school, going back to school in the fall. And I think it's like, because people don't, I don't know, it's almost like people don't like their kids. And I saw one meme.
Totally. I told Jeremy, it's interesting to me because I feel like good and bad, we're almost forced to deal with the dynamics of what our relationships are really like. And so it's like,
what we created.
Totally. That's exactly right. It's like what you've sown into your kids, what you've sown into your relationship with your husband, you now have to stare straight in the face, and you can't blame teachers anymore, and you can't blame anybody else. And you can't even put it on the church of like, well, this is your job to whip my kids into shape. We're stuck at home. And it's like, now you have to deal with it, you know,
with your own people.
Good and bad. You know, there's hard realities, but it's actually beautiful at the same time.
It is beautiful. You're my sis, and we've been friends at this point, like real, and close for years. And, you know, but in many ways, also like my big sis, because in many ways you've done so many things before I did them. And so then I look to you like, okay, how do you do this? Or how do you do that? And one of the things, speaking of looking in the face of what's actual as opposed to, you know, what's ideal or what you think is somebody else's responsibility, is last fall, we were out of town and we had to use a church's childcare resource, and we needed it, and it was awesome. But they showed Gabriel a superhero movie, and we had never showed him superhero movies before. And nobody would even think about it. Nobody but you. And it's one of those things where I've learned from you, like, don't just take everything for, that's fine. Everybody's doing it, but really check stuff out. From there, he just seemed to start getting almost obsessed with superheroes. And mind you, he wasn't 3 yet. So, Gabriel is smart and he's taking it in and he's just trying to parse through it all.
I love that Miles Morales, is a brown kid who's Spider-Man. It's also like there are themes in here that are just a lot for a little kid.
So then he starts wanting more superheroes. And I'm like, I guess that's what boys want. So, we start engaging him, letting him engage. And finally we realize this is changing our kids'
totally
personality, but his approach.
Yes.
And it was like, oh, no, we're going to have to dial back. And EJ finally made the decision, probably at the top of the year, right after he turned 3, after a couple of months, like, no, there will be no Hulk smashes. There will be no, there will be no that. And we dialed it back. And we started watching, instead trying to give him something to watch with action that would actually be, edifying. We started more Superbook or animated things about the Bible so that he would actually know Bible stories. And then we went into quarantine. And don't you know, I was so grateful that got tidied up.
Yes.
Before we were stuck in the house needing to entertain him or just have things for him to do always in the house for a while, that it wasn't Hulk and it wasn't, they can be not harmful or whatever people think, but I notice a difference when I am more stringent about what he can and can't engage.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, notice that completely in my kids from all sorts of things of like, even different people they interact with, and I feel like as amazing as our kids can be, they're totally sponges and they take in everything, especially when they're younger. Like when they're older, you can give them a little bit more freedom.
Yeah.
Because even, last night, Egan and I snuggled up on the couch and we watched something that he wasn't allowed to watch when he was younger.
Yeah.
And he even said to me, he goes, I wasn't allowed to watch this when I was younger. And I said, that's right. Because when you were younger, you didn't know that you couldn't do these things. And so because kids mimic everything, they mimic what they see, even like Hulk smash.
Yeah.
You're like, no, you can't go around smashing everything.
If I can't Hulk smash, you can't Hulk smash.
What goes for me goes for you too.
Exactly. And then our Wi-Fi went out the other day and I realized,
oh Lord have mercy.
You see what I'm saying? Because the one thing I've said this whole time is, the whole world is okay unless the Wi-Fi goes down.
Exactly. Totally.
And
you're like 2020, enough already, enough.
It's like, no, we have not seen anything unless the Wi-Fi goes down. But it went down and we were about to do a little movie time with Gabe and it was like, Amazon Prime down, Disney Plus Prime. I know, first world problems. But anyway, so then we're like, well, I guess we have to pull out the actual dusty old DVD player. Nice. So we pull out the DVD player and I'm like, because who's bought a DVD in the last however long? Not judging if somebody has bought a DVD. Where did you get it from, first of all? Anyway, but moving on. But so we put out the DVD player and I was like, I only have old Disney movies. And I was like, I actually don't want Gabriel to watch old Disney movies.
I know.
Because then you start to think about what message is it giving? And the old school ones are like, there's just some stuff behind it. And I'm like, no, I don't want to explain that. I don't need you to see that happen. I don't need you to. And it's so interesting. People pop them in and just sit their kids there. And I'm telling you, you taught me a long time ago, like, you were like, oh, there are no Barbies here because you're South African. And you were like, that's weird.
It's weird. It's so weird. Kids playing with grown women's bodies. There's something wrong with this. Okay. I know, but you know what? It's funny because I think I think maybe growing up in South Africa, I'm not sure what it is, but I did have a different perspective because the culture around me was different. Yeah. And so I didn't grow up with Disney movies. I didn't grow up with some of that stuff.
Yeah.
But when I look at it, when I think, okay, I have this opportunity of whether or not I get to present these things to my children and the message that they send, you can call me a stickler or weird or old school or old fashioned, whatever, but I don't regret not letting them have that stuff or play with that. And it's not like we keep them locked inside the house and they're not exposed to other stuff. I mean, we have the most amazing conversations with our kids.
Yeah.
They're very, very knowledgeable about what's going on in the world. They're very connected with people around them, but there's just some things that I just thought, do I really want to be the one that exposes my kids to that stuff, you know? And then as quickly as they pick it up, then we've got to have conversations about why all of these things are wrong or why they're bad or why we don't want to be like that. And it's like, well, then sort of like making extra work for myself anyway.
And there it is. That's what Hulk smash. Once again, it was like, oh man, now I got to
put in the box. Just exactly. Yeah.
It's like, oh no, we're not smash. Let me explain why we can't Hulk smash. Like, there's nothing redeemable in this, you know? No. But that is true. Like, yeah, it is. There's some things that are just, I don't want to have the discussion.
And when they're older, it's easier. You know, Egan's almost 9, and he knows what to do with his Hulk smash gloves. So then he gets freedom to play with them. You know what I mean? And
it's just a timing thing. A timing thing.
Yeah.
But here's why I understand why people do it. Because Adie, we're tired. When your kid is 3.
I know.
You literally told me, I think I was pregnant with Gabriel, and I was maybe 8 months pregnant and tired. And I was just like, Adie, I'm ready to go and have this baby. Like, I've gone as far as I feel like going. And you said, sis, enjoy. You said, enjoy going to the bathroom by yourself and just having a minute to do what you want to do. And I was like, it threw me like, wait, what do you mean going to the bathroom by myself?
I know.
That's what you meant.
I'm like, yes, that's what I said.
Exactly what you said is what you meant. I have gone to the bathroom with a child in the bathroom more than I have not as a mother.
Right? I know. Yeah. And then, you know, traveling, as you know, you have to stop at gas stations and all of that stuff. And I mean, this is crazy, but I've literally, because where we were was so disgusting, I've changed someone's diaper holding them, like full on trying to like, not a poopy diaper, obviously, but.
I was like, oh my word, because you know, the gross things, I'm still not on that.
No, I know.
Oh, Too much. And I think Binge, though, I think he's going to give me a run for my money because, like, you know, Gaby is a little EJ-ish in that he don't want to touch gross things.
No. I laughed. EJ posted Benji picking up something off the floor the other day with a napkin, and I was like, he is your son through and through. So funny.
Well, what do you feel like, even though you guys have, you have a lot of the same habits, what do you think is new for you guys based on this season? Like what have you noticed afresh, or what's brand new even in this season? Even though you have habits.
For sure.
Help you in this.
I think it's the lack of access to people. And I mean, honestly, I think as well, it's like the amount of what's being thrown at us right now in our community. For Jeremy and I, we thought that this was going to be one of the busiest years of our lives. And I mean, we literally were sitting the kids down going, okay, this year's going to be with a movie and everything coming out. You know, Lionsgate's put honestly millions and millions of dollars into advertising and publicity and stuff like that. And so we're just looking at going, this is going to be an insane year or two, you know, touring of all of that stuff. And so preparing the kids like, hey, mom and dad are going to be juggling a lot of things. These are our priorities. Talk to us if you feel neglected, you know, come and be honest with us. Let's have these good conversations. And then all of a sudden that just literally was like having the rug like pulled out from underneath us. And Jeremy's even explained it. It's like going down a freeway, 100 miles per hour, and all of a sudden just slamming into a brick wall and everything just being done. Like, okay, no touring, everything's shut down for the whole entire year, So it's like all of these just crazy amounts of things of having to juggle, the disappointment. And then I think what's new for us as well is we've got 2 teenage girls, Bella and Ari are older, and their friends are now super important to them. Whereas I think when they're younger, it's easy somewhat to keep your family isolated.
Oh yeah.
Not intentionally isolated. Well, now it is intentional, but like when we go on the road, it doesn't matter because we have each other and they play together. But now we have this whole new dynamic of that friends are super duper duper important to them. And so trying to navigate those seasons, and I think everybody's feeling it, of having this incredible sense of like loneliness. Yeah. All the while we're super connected on our phones and on Instagram and all these things where we're so aware of everything that's going on, but then there's like this lack of sort of kind of just gatherings together that I think, especially as Christians, we're so used to, Yeah. I mean, Jen, you know this, but like Jeremy and I love having people in our home, so all of a sudden taking away all of that stuff and just having that isolated feeling. And just the heaviness, I think, is something new that I've never experienced in my life. The amount of heaviness that's been going on just in our world, and trying to bring our kids a lot into the conversation as well. And finding, also just navigating like how much to communicate with them. And obviously, we've got teenage girls, and then Egan's almost 9. So like what we tell the girls is a little bit different from maybe what we share with Egan. And just navigating, I think, this heaviness. Yeah. One thing we've learned that has been amazing as our family is we've been having Bible studies together. And it's not anything fancy at all. We literally picked James to go through because we were like, okay, this is a super practical book. It's one of my favorites. And we just sat down and then started reading. Like we'll pick a chapter or pick a passage and sit and just talk about it as a family. And it has been so fun. And then we just go around and everybody prays. Yeah. And it's been so grounding, I think, for us as a family, because I think as well, we're around each other so much in this season because everything's been canceled, that you feel like you see a lot of each other, but just being in proximity doesn't mean intimacy. Do you know what I mean? It's like you still actually have to work at being connected and being in deep relationship with each other. It's like I always tell Jeremy, because sometimes Jeremy has guilt about traveling so much, and I'll tell him like, there's dads that are at home and less present and less connected than him, And so it's kind of the same thing. It's like we're in proximity with each other constantly as a family, but really being intimate in those seasons,
That's wisdom. That's wisdom. Just building intimacy here. It is so interesting how, I don't know, I'm the type of person who, probably because I moved a lot as a kid, that I'm like, oh yeah, I'm good. I mean, I'll see you in 2 years. We'll pick up exactly where we left off, right? But the reality is now I am feeling the need, even me, to like make sure I'm pouring into to relationships and making sure I'm talking and trying to, and just doing things that are not, a part of what I would normally do. And so I'm grateful for that, but it does remind me like, oh my goodness, like relationships don't just go. You have to make them go.
For your kids especially, Yeah. And so it's just at every stage of connecting with what they're interested in, Even last night, when Egan snuggling up watching a movie he wants to watch, because my girls are away, they have a little summer camp, and Jeremy's out of town. And so it was just him and I together. And I'll be totally honest, I was like, I don't really feel like watching this. And so at one point I picked up my phone and I'm scrolling through Instagram, and he looks over at me and he just said, Mom, can you just watch this with me? And instantly I was like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, absolutely, buddy. I just clicked out and put my phone down, and I just thought, yeah, because I need to be interested in what he's interested in, because that means something to him, And again, like proximity, here I am totally sitting right next to him on the couch, but because I wasn't paying attention to what he was interested in, that wasn't enough for him.
Look at me rolling my eyes. I mean, I'm about to give you a kindergarten roll.
Daniel Tiger for like 500 times.
I was about to say, Adie, I can't watch another Daniel Tiger. I think that's my biggest struggle in this season, is you know, because for whatever reason you leave home, whether it's for work or for whatever you leave home for, as a mom, you get moments, or you get into a rhythm where you recharge somehow and then you come back better. Okay.
Yes.
Well, it's hard to recharge in this season.
It is.
Because the kids don't have cues.
No.
The kids don't have cues that you're going to recharge.
No.
So now I'm in this, you know, endless bucket season, okay, where I'm like, I cannot watch another Daniel Tiger. And I'm trying to figure out, okay, Lord, how do I recharge? And one thing I found out very quickly is if I do not spend time with the Lord in the morning,
100%.
Watch out, world.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's funny. I mean, I know it's like, it's not, the thing is this isn't a legalistic thing. Like, I know for me, that was a lifeline. It literally made my day unravel, or it was awesome and rad. And it doesn't mean that every day was perfect just because I had my devotions in the morning, but it literally just felt a thousand times better than, I was just in a better tone. I mean, and this is hard, but I know for me in that season, I made a commitment to wake up before my kids, you know, and it killed me at first because I was exhausted. And actually the only way I could do it was with a friend. We totally got together and it was just like, okay, we're in this together, and we'd text each other in the morning and say, okay, I'm up. And then I would go and have my quiet time with the Lord. But you know, and I think as well, knowing that you're at breaking points of time and just being honest about that is also okay.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing wrong with just saying, I do not have it in me today. You know.
Adie, I took that spoon with those hearts on it yesterday and I just slammed it on the island. Like, listen, let me tell you something, little boy. I'm not doing it today. I felt so bad just because I startled him. And it's like, I just had to slam the spoon. I just had to slam it. I had to hear the sound to say, you know what? I'm tired of this and I need a moment. And EJ was like, would you like my help? And I'm like, yes, I would. I think it's time for me to take a break.
I know, totally.
And then, of course, I had to go back and say, sorry, mommy lost her temper.
I know.
You should not be disobedient, and mommy should not lose my temper. I'm so sorry. It's just the humility and apologizing to your kid when they've done something wrong. It's just a great exercise.
Totally. I know. Yeah. But I think that's key too. I mean, there were so many times that I blew it with the kids and still do, but just circled back around and said, I'm sorry, I didn't handle that well at all. Totally lost my cool. Or just be like, is there something wrong with you? You know, say something mean or whatever it is, and just go back and say, gosh, I'm so sorry. I love you. This is who you are.
Yeah.
You know, and that was wrong of me to treat you badly or whatever.
It's so interesting. I feel like people think being a good mom is about doing things perfectly. And it has settled into a deep place, especially in this season, that no, it's not. It's about showing your kid how to get to the Lord.
Absolutely.
In a perfect life. And it's like, yes, when I do that, I'm going to have to say, I'm sorry. And I'm going to tell you why that's not okay. And ask you to forgive me and explain why the Lord is not okay with me treating you like that, and then move on. You know what I mean? But I used to think it's like, oh my goodness, well, I blew it. But now I'm like, he's going to counseling anyway. I'm sure. And he's going to talk about me bad. And we'll see what he says.
Totally. You'll be like, he's right. I did all of that.
Right now, I think I'm pretty good in Benji's book, but Gabe's got some stories.
Oh yeah, I know. That was one thing for me too, because I was like, gosh, the pressure we put on ourselves to have these like picture perfect lives, and it's impossible. One, it's supernatural. You know what I mean? To live perfectly is entirely supernatural, and that'll be a struggle for us until the day we die.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, I just realized early on, of course, I want to strive to be the best mom that I can be. I want to strive to be as much like Jesus as I can be. Yeah. But there's going to be time that I'm going to blow it. But the way that I can even be Jesus in those moments is walking in humility and just having enough courage to admit that I'm wrong, and then I'm going, and what am I teaching to my kids? Because I want them to be grownups who are like that. Yeah. And go, first of all, my mom never pretended she had it all together, but in her brokenness, I saw her seeking Christ. I saw her seeking after the Lord. And so
Yeah.
I want them to model that, you know, because then I put this perfection on them, and I know that they're going to blow it. And then what do we do with that? You know?
Yeah.
That is so good. It's like, oh man, I have to remind myself that even in the thick of it, that I am partnering with the Lord as He's trusted me to rear a person, a citizen of the kingdom of God. And what are the qualities that I want that person to have? You know what I mean? And how do I steer that, as opposed to getting stuck in 3-year-old land? It's really like, no, this is about being citizens of the kingdom, which I got to be one first.
You know? I remember thinking when this season started, this quarantine season, I remember thinking, oh Lord, we've been out here eating food we couldn't cook.
Yeah.
Wearing hair we can't comb. And having kids we couldn't rear. You know what I'm saying? Like, and now it's just one of those things where it's like, you know what, if you want ice cream badly enough, go ahead and make that custard and go ahead and put it in the ice cream machine. Or you want French fries badly enough, go ahead and chop up some potatoes and take the time to deep fry potatoes twice. You know what I mean? Like, just little things that we in the season, I realized we had gained an appetite for things that should have really just been so spread out. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have in many ways just become gluttonous, not just with food, but even in how we consume things. And now it's like, chill out. So many things I realized, I don't actually need that, because why am I buying clothes in a season when and people aren't going to see me? You know what I mean? Like, things like that.
I know.
So
as hard as it's been, all the stripping away, but I think for me, I'm just going, Lord, clothe me back in the things that you want in place. So after you're done tearing down the idols and tearing down the high places, you establish your kingdom in my life in the way that actually is going to have me truly connected with Jesus. You know what I mean? Because when we're the most connected with the Lord and our relationships with Him are flourishing, that's when we make an impact in the society around us. And that's what is lacking in the church. That's what's lacking in our culture, is we just in leadership in all over the place. You know what I mean? It's just going, we're sort of like, in a sense, I feel like reaping what we've sown, you know?
Not in a sense, not sort of, kind of. We are most certainly reaping what we've sown.
Completely.
In many, many
all
ways.
All across the board. And so there's a part of it that's so bizarre and weird. And I know it's been insanely hard for people and so challenging, but there's a part of it that is exciting, because I just feel like for those that are listening, for those that are going, okay, Lord, you've got my attention. Like, what's life going to look like for those?
That is very exciting. I was going to ask you, like, what do you think you're taking from the season? But that is so exciting to me. It really is that, like, all of the noise has been minimized. And now I feel like, I am accustomed to pursuing the whisper so that I know how to live a day. You know what I mean? And that has become a treasure to me that I'm keeping from this season. It's like, Lord, I don't want to leave this place without that. And I don't want to get back to a place where I don't remember that.
So, okay, quick fire, real thing. What's been your favorite meal to have at home in COVID?
I've actually been loving cooking right now. And so we've been making a ton of different kinds of like soups and things like that, but with lots of extra fresh things inside of them. And so there's one that's kind of like this sort of Thai chicken yummy soup. And then we eat it over rice with tons of like cilantro and fresh greens and stuff on top. And then I'll chop up some spinach and throw it in there, and everybody loves it. It's so delicious.
I want that right now. I love cilantro.
Yeah.
Well, you know, EJ don't like cilantro. He's one of those people who genetically it tastes like dish soap. I'm like, I want more. Last question. What has been your favorite, outing or activity from this season? Like, since we can't do much, what was the thing that you had to do, like, that was so life-giving to you and the fam?
It has been, it's been getting into a good routine of working out. Jeremy is so that way wired, and I am not. I hate gyms. I don't care about working out at all. I'm just not a physical person. It's not the way I'm wired. Like, anyway, and it is Jeremy. But for years and years and years, I've literally prayed, like, Lord, just change that part of me. Help me to want it, you know? And so I think for me, getting into a good routine, we bought a Peloton. And so we've been doing a lot of exercising, but then I have a couple little workout apps. And I'll always just tell myself, like, even if it's 15 minutes, but getting my blood flowing, I think just helps me feel better throughout the whole day.
Brilliant. Yeah. I'm working on it. I am literally working on it, but you know, I think I started off, instead of starting off working out, I started off with brownies. So I'm backtracking from that.
I know. Yeah, totally.
But
I get it.
Oh, sis, I love you so much. Thank you for taking time to chat with me.
I know. I can't wait to see you and hug your beautiful babies.
Same. And they can't wait to see you. Oh my goodness. And we cannot wait to hug y'all next. Well, I love you so much. We love you so much. Thank you so much, sis.
I love you. See you. Bye.